Hey HBs, you're listening to Ask a Badass HB, the episode of Heaving Bosoms where we interview your compatriots about all of their badassery and love of romance. Next week, we're taking another little jaunt off of our assigned reading list to get Erin and Cole's episode on the Disney Movie Musical that has been decades in the making. That's right, on Monday, March 9th, Cole is back on the pod to either discuss or reenact Newsies in all its glory. I honestly don't know which one. Get stoked! Oh, and if you, like me and everyone else, have been obsessed with the Netflix show Love is Blind, you can get recaps of each of the episodes in a new podcast called Blind I Do's. Check them out. And now, we've got the infamous Megan L. She's a super talented seamstress, a business owner, reader of so many books, and the perfect galentine. Here we go.
It is registering sounds.
Hooray!
Woohoo!
We did it.
We did it. Hello, Megan.
Hi, Natalie.
HBs, if you're listening out there, this one might get awkward. I don't know.
Who knows?
My friend Megan and I are sitting 24 inches apart.
Yeah, just about.
Megan knows that kind of measurements because she can measure things, but we're in person.
Yeah.
We're recording an in-person interview right now.
I know. I took a chance, and here we are.
Megan reached out to me and was like, I'm going to be in your general 100-mile vicinity.
Yep, that's about it. I was hoping it was closer to 50.
I live by nobody. Megan reached out to me and was like, hey, I'm going to be here at this time, and would you want to just meet up? And I was like, yeah, I don't have to work the next day.
Yeah.
So I drove my microphone to this location that we're at.
This one location.
That's being, I guess, concealed for your privacy, even though you don't live here.
I don't live here, but I can tell you that it's room 233, not 223 like Natalie thought.
I aggressively knocked on room 223 earlier when I arrived, and then remembered that was not the room number, and immediately walked away quickly, and nobody came to the door. I mean, at least if they did, they saw me like walking away, and they were like, oh, that's probably the person who knocked, and she's crazy. Anyway, I found Megan's room eventually, and here we are. So, happy Galentine's Day.
Happy Galentine's Day.
We are drinking wine, which could go well for us. So far, it has not boded well for me.
Well, it's because I was close to you.
It erased all of the audio files I was working on earlier. We hadn't recorded anything.
No.
I'm talking to the computer. Megan can probably vouch. Like there's a person there.
No, that's okay. You have to double check the audio to make sure it's still registering.
Constantly monitoring it. It might get scared off at any minute. Megan treated me to Totino's pizza.
Yeah, basically.
Sausage and kale soup.
Yeah,
that was very good. It was
Yeah.
like a fake Olive Garden situation.
And a dense breadstick.
And an iced coffee bar.
Which was not supposed to be iced.
But, I mean, it's all about marketing. Megan and I are here making lots of direct eye contact, and we're going to talk about romance.
Yeah, let's do it.
How long have you been reading romance?
So, I probably found in the teen section of my public library, they had those paperback wheelie things.
Yeah.
You know, this tall standing ones.
The tourney guys.
Yeah, the tourney guys. That's it.
That's the official name.
So hiding in between a few of like the Sweet Valley High and whatnot, I found Tamora Pierce, which I think was my first. You know.
I've heard
Hooray.
a lot of great things about Tamora Pierce.
It's very good.
Yeah, she doesn't write anything but YA.
She doesn't write anything but YA, and there's a little bit of romance sprinkled in there that my 11-year-old brain could handle.
Yes.
But it also really early on talked about female sexuality, consent, which was the first time I ever saw anything like that, and the right to choose someone that you choose and not just the people that you are expected to choose.
Right.
Which was huge.
Yeah.
And then sitting in there were like the Princess Diaries and everything. And Meg Cabot a while ago had books where the covers looked like PG romance novels.
Oh.
And I looked at it and I said, what's that?
Did you wait? the book that I almost brought you was a Meg Cabot.
Really?
That I almost brought you. I didn't actually bring her to her, guys. I forgot. Along with the printed out copies of Megan's survey responses. But it's okay. Here we are. We figured it out. Sorry, what was it called?
Zero idea.
Oh, okay.
And I tried to look for it, but covers change.
Yeah.
After 2 decades.
Yes.
Couldn't find it.
Yes.
No idea.
Great. Well, I'll mail this one to you.
Cool.
And you can just see if it's that one.
I mean, those were, they were YA, so it's like, it had the romance novel cover, and then it was like, and then he pecked her on the forehead, and they lived happily ever after, so.
Yeah. I'm giving a slow link to that, kind of. I think I've made my stance clear. I do not want a fade to black.
Uh-huh.
I do not want a fond handhold.
Mm-hmm. You may or may not hate that book that I gave you when you walked in and said, this cover's cute.
No, I get
it. PG.
Yeah, well, there's a time and place.
I will tell you, I was very disappointed. I got about 3/4 of the way through the book. I was like, there will be no sex. No sex. No sex in this book that I bought at the airport. What?
How dare you, airport? That's, unfortunately, we talked about, Megan and I talked about earlier when we were having dinner. In person. We talked about how my Target, because I live in a very rural area, does not have any real romance. And if it is, it's like a Fern Michaels or a Amish or a something.
I'm really glad that I didn't get you one of the books that I almost got you when I was getting your little Valentine's Day thing together, because it was like a Colorado cowboy for love or something ridiculous, and I was like, perfect, it's a Colorado book, I'll bring it to her. And then at the top in arcing letters it said an inspirational romance, and I thought, absolutely not, nobody wants that
in my fireplace. But here's the thing, so when I first started reading romance again, I got a lot of the free romance novels from Amazon because I was like, I can't buy them. I'm still kind of that way. I'm super cheap. I'm the cheapest.
You're talking to the book club queen.
Yes. And so, which is weird because I don't, well, my library system is really shitty. But anyway, moving on. And there was this romance that was like in a logging town. I need to find it. It was like a logging town, and this woman, I think she didn't have a child, but she like took the cook position in this logging camp. And of course, the guy who was the foreman was just gruff and mean and blah, blah, blah. And then...
only nice to her, lumbersexual.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And it was also like... and then they rode off into the sunset with no sex. No. And... but I really liked it. Yeah. And then I found books that actually had sex that I also really liked. So.
Well, I will say, as a teenager, as a preteen, honestly... I had to get really stealthy about how I found internet porn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I was a totally horny kid.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mom and Dad.
Yeah. I'm sorry to your mom and dad, but not really because,
But the thing I found gave me, that I found more stimulating and that gave my computer less viruses. So my dad was like, what are you doing on this computer? Was literotica.
Yeah. Okay.
And so that was kind of the first, like I saw
was
those
that like
little
a website?
romance books. Oh, yeah, it's still up.
What?
Literotica.com.
If I had, I'm going to pretend to take notes.
Okay, if you had notes. It's still there. It's really amateur, it's a free website. People just post what makes them happy.
It's like fanfic.com,
but it breaks it down into different categories. So if you are into BDSM, if you are into, like, just romantic love.
Whoa.
Like, it breaks it down into categories.
So if you were into, like, Amish...
I think
romance.
They have like an inspirational, but I think if you're into that, you're
not going to Literotica? Oh, okay. Am I doing it wrong?
I guess. Your town has suppressed you for far too long.
I don't think that's the case. My poor town. It gets shit on so much on this podcast. Oh, well. And people are probably like, yeah, Natalie, your town is public on Facebook, so everyone knows.
You know what? Since I don't live here, I don't mind saying it, and I actually don't mind saying where I live at all. But I do have to say that right now we're literally sitting in Naperville, home of the French doors and the boastful floors.
Yes.
And the book that I gave you, I'm literally putting in the 2020 reading embrace as French doors and boastful floors because I read it in Naperville.
That's doing it right. So I grew up about 15 minutes from here.
Okay.
So I grew up 15
So
minutes.
Erin knows.
So Erin grew up down by where I live now, just south of where I live now.
Okay.
So when she was talking about Naperville, I'm losing my shit. Because for someone that is not from the suburbs, Naperville is the epitome of the suburbs. And even if you're from the suburbs, Naperville is the epitome of the
very
suburbs.
much.
It is super white. It is everyone, even if they're not upper middle class, they're acting like they're upper middle class.
Keith from the Try Guys just shit on Naperville in a video the other day, and I laughed out loud.
Yeah, so Naperville is just really funny, and we grew up 15 minutes away from Naperville. We would drive to Naperville all the time because it was where the best coffee shops were.
There you go.
And they had, like, you would just go downtown Naperville, and you would park there and prowl around and sit in the bookstore and just be loud on the street.
Yeah.
Like teenagers. And that was what we did on a good Friday night, you know.
Hooray.
Hooray. You found YA, and then how did you transition into being a romance reader? Literotica.
Sure, that helped, but then I was on the shame train.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like a lot of us.
A lot of us. And my roommate and good friend when I was an intern, she was like, just read 50 Shades of Grey. It was the summer that it was huge. She was like, here, just borrow my copy.
Yeah.
You should just read it. And I was like, fine. After putting up with it for 2 months, I was like, fine. If I'm gonna poop on something, then I should
at least know what it's saying.
Know what I'm talking about. I had my house mother take me to Costco 2 days later to buy the next 2 books.
You read 50 Shades and you went out and bought both the books right away because they're catchy.
They're so catchy. You want to know what happens next. You can't wait to find out. She was good at a cliffhanger. It worked. It worked.
The other one that I think it worked for some people and it did not work for me was Outlander. The first one I read and I was like, there's more that's going to happen to these people? When do they just get to have sex and be done? Because good God, there's so much trauma happening and I just can't have French trauma happen now.
So I started reading those the same year of the 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
I think I should just refer to it as The Awakening from now on.
Yep.
And so, you know, I stitched for a living for so long. So I was in front of a sewing machine for 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
And in my life before that, I worked in a warehouse at like 5 a.m. unloading boxes off of trucks. So it's like all I did was sit there with my headphones in. Yeah. I got through those Outlander books in like
I can imagine.
2.5 weeks.
And I bet those are really good listens,
They were
too.
really great
really
listens.
Pretty and...
I love a library. I just love a library.
Yeah.
It makes me happy.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I think Outlander came at a really good time for a lot of people. Yeah. It was like this, that's part of, I think, the romance awakening. Like, I feel like romance had this renaissance, like, right around that time, where it was, like, okay. Outlander and, like, maybe 50 Shades and made it, like, publicly okay to read romance.
I think Outlander was written in 99.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's been around for a while. Diana Gabaldon actually has
Guys,
a really...
just don't ever act like I know what I'm talking about. Maybe it was when the show came out.
Probably when that's what I thought you were referring to. Yeah.
I mean, let's just pretend like that's what I was referring to.
For any writers that are listening, Diana Gabaldon has I don't even think I could call it a short story. It's almost like a dissertation on how she writes love scenes.
Oh.
And like how she visualizes things and starts with things that she can see in the room and how it helps her write love scenes. So Diana Gabaldon is a queen.
I am not a writer.
Neither am I.
I cannot even think about how it works. And most of the time, like, I wrote like a short scene for a friend. They had like this writing project that we were all kind of trying to do. And I wrote the scene and I'm like, Natalie, that's just your voice. That's just your voice putting words on this paper. So when you're reading it, that's just Natalie. That's just Natalie. So it would be reading about me having sex.
Which we would all love.
I mean, maybe.
I dipped my toe into fan fiction when I was about 13 or 14. And I had someone spam my fan fiction saying like, Mary Jane alert. And she had her own blog and dragged me. As like a 13-year-old, there was this person, I don't know how old they were, but I have barely written anything since.
Yuck.
It left a bad taste in my mouth, and I was like, well, Megan's a Mary Jane.
Yeah.
She's not going to do anything.
Whatever that means.
It's like I can't remember whatever. It was 2003. Meanings changed.
Yes. Like a
Mary
Molly
Sue?
Sue? Yes.
Maybe?
Mary Sue?
Yeah.
I don't
know.
really know. Anyway, we don't need to give that person any more brain time. Mm-mm. They don't need any more things. Let's not even talk about them out loud. And now you're fully immersed. Do you read things besides romance?
Rarely.
Yeah.
So I, like many others, started to read Burnout, got 7 pages in, and then had to return it to the library because I couldn't finish it in time because I was too busy.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
I then bought Burnout and have not gotten any further in it.
I have had a lot. So I tend to be one of those people that's like, Natalie, you're doing too many. Other people tell me this all the time.
Yeah.
You're doing too many things. You will burn out. And I have burned out. And you know what I mean? But like, so people recommend that book to me. That's the number one book that I get wrecked all the time.
The podcast is easier to get through, obviously, because it's in like 40-minute intervals.
Yeah. Maybe that's what I need to do.
On lunch.
Yeah, sure.
What's lunch?
I'll do that. Yeah. I eat at my desk. That gets wrecked to me all the time. And I think I'm one of those people, I'm like, I don't need to have a spotlight pointed at me.
I am also one of those people when they, on the podcast at least, were talking about the sleep cycle and how it's, some people are night people, some people are morning people, and some people are intermittent sleepers. Yeah. I was like, this is too much. Yeah. I was like, the correct answer was, Megan, you need to go to bed earlier and you need to get a restful night of sleep. When they're like, it's totally normal that you wake up at 3:30 a.m. and your brain is awake for 2.5 hours and then you fall asleep 2 hours before your alarm goes off. Like, that's an intermittent sleeper, and that's normal. And I was like, that's not the right answer. I don't want that to be the right answer.
How dare you tell me that's okay? I am not a good sleeper either. And a lot of it, I think, is probably caffeine related. But
you did try to drink a coffee.
Yes.
At 6:30 at night.
That is correct. But I also have to drive home. And then you found Heaving Bosoms just because you were looking for podcasts, or?
So I had discovered Smart Bitches Trashy Podcast like 4 to 6 months beforehand. Mm-hmm. And they had the ad on the podcast. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then immediately I went on a binge. So I started with the Kiss Quotient because I had just gotten it from Book of the Month Club. And then I found that they did Akashmir.
Yeah. And
the same roommate who got me on 50 Shades was like, you have got to read these books. You are going to love these books. So this is, if this doesn't tell you enough about me, I went to Target to buy books, those books that she had recommended.
Yeah.
Well, I just said it, Akashmir. I went to Target. They had all 3 of them. And I was going to Target specifically because I needed cash back because I was going to the library book sale. So I went to Target to buy books so I could get cash back so I could go get more books.
And you needed to buy these books at Target because there was no guarantee they would have them at the library book sale.
They wouldn't have.
Yes.
Because it was still too new. This was probably, I know it's over a year ago. It's probably a year and a half ago. Yeah. The 3rd book had just come out. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I got through those books, and granted, at the time I was in between contracts, so I was unemployed. Yeah. I read all 3 of those books in 5 days.
Yeah.
I would not move from the couch. I cried multiple times. Yes. The only time I would get up was to refill my drink and take my dog for a walk.
Yes. Well, that was nice that you took your dog for a walk.
Well, I love him.
Yeah.
So I got there for the Kiss Quotient, and I stayed for Akashmir. Yeah. And I was like, I'm done. These guys are great. Forget about it.
I totally understand. It's a way of life now.
I know.
Mm-hmm. And you're fully immersed. Like, you're in the crafty crew. You are, you're crafty crew, like, in real life, IRL crafty crew. And then
IRL.
Internet crafty. We can talk about your job. You want to talk about your job or no?
We can talk about my job. Here? Yeah, I own a small business. Which is tough, yeah. I took a leap of faith about 7 months ago. It had been in the works for about 4 months. Mm-hmm. And 3 years before, I had upped our family from Colorado to move out to D.C. And then 3 years later, I said, hey, we're moving back to Colorado.
Remember that place?
Remember that? Remember that place we moved away from so that we could have a little bit of independence? Well, so I hauled our tiny family back to Colorado, and we now live like basically smack dab in between my parents and his parents. But yeah, I'm a small business owner. It's Studio Bernina. You guys can look it up. It's in Lafayette, Colorado. If you want to check us out, we love our Instagram.
I am gonna follow. And then, like, what else are you like passionate about? Romance is obviously a big passion. You have 6 books in this room right now.
Yeah, romance is a big passion. I can't go to the airport in Denver without going to the tattered cover, so that happens every single time I fly.
Is it in the airport?
There is one in the airport. There was one in Denver that used to be 3 stories tall.
And it's a used bookstore?
It's
tattered cover
I think
made me
new and used.
Oh, okay.
But they've had to downsize. You know, I think with the industry, it's kind of a bummer. I haven't been there in a long time, but now it's just the one story.
Bitches like me are just only buying ebooks out
there. Well, and then I also, so last week was my birthday, and I went out with my parents and my husband in Boulder, and there's this great place called the Boulder Bookstore that I've gone to every year for Christmas since who knows when. And this was the first year that we didn't go as a family after Christmas. And I was mad about it. I was angry about it. And so I said, it is my birthday. We are going here for dinner, and then we are going to the bookstore. So I walked out with 6 books that night, too. So February's book month.
Yes. Do you read more than 1 book at a time?
Absolutely. I cannot handle only having one.
Okay.
I have at least 2 books in print that I'm always reading, because if I get sick of one, I'll pick up the other one.
Whoa.
I've always got an audiobook, and I've always got a Kindle book.
I like to think that I'm good at multitasking, but what I have found out
is that you're not.
Is that I'm really not.
The thing is that I have to do different tropes or like genres.
Yeah.
So like one will be a historical, one will be a contemporary. You know.
And that's what because I have talked to quite a few multi-book readers, and it's like I could not. I absolutely could not. I can only read 1 book at a time, and if I'm tired of it, I'm DNFing it.
I have
just found, like I'm putting it to the side, like, and I might come back to it, but
I've just found the courage to start DNFing things. I used to be a you started this, you finish it person, but then I've realized my time is valuable.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, and it's not. I would say that some books that I DNF are good books.
They're probably really good books, but they just not for me.
Yeah, they don't work, and a lot of times it has to do with too much angst or the heroine doesn't recycle enough or something like that. It's dumb stuff, okay? Like, I get it. It's very niche. I am a niche market, okay? And it's stuff like that I can't, like, but it doesn't take much. And I'm like, all right, get the fuck out.
This is only the 3rd time we've talked about recycling so far tonight, so it's fine.
Yep, that's about right. My children, who are 4 and 6,
good,
have publicly shamed people for not recycling things, which is either good or bad. I don't know. Maybe it's fine.
The area that I live in, there are a lot of private school moms that would be so excited to hear that.
I'm not encouraging them to publicly shame people.
They would still
people
really
to know. I'm not training
it.
my children as like a recycling army. It just happens. The other day, Ruby but shamed her dad because he was running the sink water too long in the bathroom. Dad, turn the water off. You're wasting it. I could hear it from the bathroom, from like outside the bathroom.
And you're
and
like,
I've never been prouder.
No. That's so bad. You shouldn't do that.
Don't disrespect your parents. What are some of your lady loves right now?
I think my biggest one is probably good pajamas. When I get home, I know you felt them. I'm very much a take off my belt, take off my bra, get in my comfies, and put on my slippers. And I really love Soma's pajamas because they're soft and cuddly.
Are they an online company?
I think that you can buy them online. I'm sure you can. I bought them in the mall.
Oh, okay. Just like at...
Yeah, at a storefront, just like a brick and mortar.
Oh, okay. Like a Soma storefront.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm sure they have it online.
Yeah,
I mean, they're a national company.
Yeah.
But my mother-in-law kind of got me on this train. And they last for a decent amount of time. You know, they're kind of expensive.
Yeah.
But what's better than getting into a nicely made bed with a soft pair of PJs?
Yeah. I mean, Megan and I were talking about it because, like, I'm more of a cheap person. Like,
Sure.
I am like, oh, well, I just have these sweatpants that I've had for 17 years.
The elastic is poking out, but it's fine. The stretch is completely falling out. It
They're
creaks
not
when
even
I put them
soft
on
on the inside anymore. But I have been gifted pajamas the last 2 years. It is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes you feel nice when you have something nice to put on that's not ratty and old. It's nice. It's like a nice little treat for you.
Nice little treat.
Yeah. How do you feel about a lightning round? Let's do it. All right. Do you have any questions you were hoping for? You're planning for? Dreaming for?
No, I don't think so.
I have a couple new questions.
Ooh, lay them on me.
There'll be surprises.
Okay, good.
Okay. Are you an Erin or a Melody?
To the outside consumer, I am very much an Erin.
Oh, okay.
If you get
I
close
was
to
gonna
me,
guess Melody.
if you get close to me, but I feel like I know you already because we're internet friends.
Yes. Okay.
So this is easy for me.
Yeah.
But if someone that I don't know walks up to me and starts a conversation with me, it's gonna be
Business. Yes.
closed doors.
Yes.
Very Slytherin.
Yes. Okay.
That's me.
Yes.
I've identified as a Slytherin since I was like 12.
Uh-huh.
But I am also octopus tentacles.
Yeah.
You show the slightest interest in me. Oh, did you want to be my friend? Did you?
Too late.
You do not have a choice. Congratulations.
Yep, I understand. I have wormed my way in.
Yes. So
I understand.
At first, when I met HB Vicky, who was my work wife, basically, I didn't think she and I were going to get along. Like, we didn't know each other that well, and she had a person that she had worked with lots of times before at the same costume shop.
DC?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Hi, Vicky.
Hi, Vicky. She actually just went to a DC HB meetup, and I was like,
how dare you?
That would be so fun. But at first, I was like, I don't know. And I was really standoffish with her. And then the next season, she came back and she worked again. And I got to know her, and I was like, oh, this is my person.
Yes.
This is my person.
Yes.
She's right here. And when I told her that I was moving back to Colorado, she looked at me and she threw her hands down and she went, but we just became best friends.
How dare you? I definitely understand that feeling. I know that feeling a lot. You had me fooled.
Oh, good.
We have been an open floor plan of topics.
I mean,
from the beginning.
But if you had just if I
Yeah.
was room 223 and you had knocked on my door and I had opened
It's time
it,
for our interview.
I would have been like, please leave.
Why are you
There's
here?
nothing that I need to talk to you about.
What if I
was
knocked
room
on the door
223?
of room 223 at this weird extended stay hotel that you're in, and they're like, I'm just here for a work trip for 2 weeks though? Like,
Yeah.
who the fuck? I understand. I'm glad that
This
we're
has
friends.
devolved from a lightning round into a
It's
Megan
never a
Talks
lightning
More
round. Has it ever been? Have
I
you
mean,
listened
fair.
to any episodes?
Yes, all of them. Every single one, many more than once.
Yes,
Continue.
good. I'm so glad. Nothing makes me happier than hearing that people like to listen to them. So that's great. What's your favorite carb?
Potatoes. Specifically, mashed potatoes.
Okay. Do you like mix-ins?
I want cheese and butter.
Like Parmesan cheese? I've
No.
got a lot of follow-up questions.
Cheddar.
What kind of cheese? Okay.
Cheddar. I like a sharp cheddar.
Okay.
I like butter. I used to, for my husband's fraternity in college, for tailgates, I made twice baked potatoes for every tailgate. That was a big hit with drunk college boys.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. So I'm not a stranger to chives or bacon bits.
I love all of those things.
Which are surprisingly vegan.
Bacon bits?
Bacon bits are
What
vegan.
are they made of?
Soy.
Okay, just like pink soy that
I guess.
and salt.
That came out weird. I was like, soy.
So-
I'm in Illinois. Like, the weight of soybeans just, dropped on me.
I know. It is so much soybeans out here. Only, I think it's an equal amount of corn and soybeans.
My mom grew up in a family that was raised in the soybean country, so soybeans are a
big
big
deal. Yes, everywhere.
Sure.
Ethanol, great. Is that what it's making these days?
I think corn is ethanol. Is it? I don't know.
What is science? I don't know.
I make clothes. I pump gas out of
I
a
went
machine.
to agriculture school in Illinois. take farming classes. I don't know, guys. What is soy making? It's not
everything.
Most of the soy that's by us is not food grade soy, so it's making something that's not. I don't know.
Whatever.
Somebody who knows, send me an email at askabadaspot@gmail.com. Anyway, if you were gonna bing boom bong something, what would it be?
I've thought about this before, and I think it's a tie. It's either bing boom bong, clothes don't act like that.
Okay.
Or bing boom bong, just talk to each other.
Okay, yeah.
Because the high angst of the, like, when you can literally send someone an email that's 2 paragraphs long that explains your side of the story, and the story can end now.
Yeah.
Just do it. Just do it. I wonder what they're thinking. Ooh, I don't know.
Yeah. When you say clothes don't act like that, what exactly do you mean?
A lot of the times in historicals, when they're talking about, like, the clothes, and then all of a sudden his hand was there and it slipped down through things, and I'm like, well, they didn't actually have underwear. There's a slit in their bloomers. His hand could just be there.
Yeah. I mean,
his hand could just be there.
That seems like, shouldn't we all be in that situation?
I think a lot of the times when things get unlaced on corsets, it's like somebody pulled a Jack Sparrow and it acts as though you just knifed your way through the corset ties, and it's like, it fell off. I'm like, that thing got stuck at her hips. Nothing's fallen off. There is a bustle. There are hip pads. There might even be a pannier, depending on what it is. That dress did not just fall off.
You heard me laugh as if I knew what a lot of those words meant.
That's okay.
Was it convincing?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Congratulations.
Thanks. I appreciated the enthusiasm and the actual words.
Thank you.
Guys, we're in person.
I know.
This is amazing. I think we have some more questions coming. I had one that was, what is your favorite Heaving Bosom's catchphrase? Like, is it herbs, herbs, herbs? Is it bing bong, bing boom bong, bird chirp? Or is it the one that I heard, I was listening to the Firelight episode on the way up here, which Melody has said this often, but it's hoo dangy.
Hoo dangy. Hoo dangy is a great one. I think I most frequently use herbs, herbs. And just, if people don't understand me, I move on.
Yes.
It's just become a part of my vernacular.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about the a few times. I've done that. Yeah, it's probably herbs, herbs, herbs.
Yes.
I just use it as a verb now. I'm like, herbs it.
Yes. If you aren't wanting to read all of that, just herbs it. I could see you teaching a class.
Herbs it. Do you not want to read through the click-through of this software demonstration? You can just herbs it.
Yeah. It's a bunch of 50-year-old women going like, is this a weird Bernina word that
Excuse
I don't know?
Oh my God.
Do you have a favorite smell?
I like lavender a lot. Chlorine is a little nostalgic because I spent a lot of time with my grandmother over the summers in Texas.
Yeah.
And then my best friend was a swimmer. So there's just a lot of funny memories with chlorine.
Yes.
Chlorine is one of them. I don't know. You don't know until it, like, hits you a lot of the time.
Yes, yeah. But lavender is, like, your favorite on-purpose smell?
On-purpose smell. I have, talking about recycling, I have those reusable wool dryer balls. And I put lavender essential oil on them before I do my laundry. Yep.
Amazing. I had 2 more questions that were very specific. Do you have a problematic fave?
I love an alpha male.
Yeah.
I do.
Like an alpha hole? Like
for sure. When I got Kindle Unlimited, I just dove directly into Suzanne Wright's pack series. She has the Mercury pack and the Phoenix pack. And most of those guys are just like, I'm a guy. I'm an alpha.
Charge.
I only like this one person. She's my fated mate. And so I just like a tall, for those of you who don't know, I'm 5'10". So in my real life, men taller than me do not happen.
Yeah.
So it's very much the projected fantasy of, like, 6'6" dude, big muscles, could save me from things because in my real life, I'm saving my ass constantly.
Yes.
I'd like to take a break and let a guy do that on the page. So yeah, alpha holes are kind of my thing.
I definitely understand that, and I would agree with that for myself too. Like, I think part of it is like, I have to make a lot of decisions.
So many decisions, more decisions in one day than most people make in a week.
Yes, and I would rather take a break from those. And not that I want, like, I don't, like, most of the time, like in romance books, they're not making every decision for the girl ever.
But sometimes when they're like, yeah, we're not doing that, and he, like, lifts her over his shoulder and he, like, stalks off. I'm like,
sure, I'll do that. I'll go for that in this situation.
That would be nice if someone just threw me over their shoulder and took me to the bedroom. That sounds like a great time.
Yes. Oh, well.
Anyway.
Some other time. If you were going to dispense a condiment from your belly button, what would it be?
Olive oil. Who said that one? Allie?
Allie did. She said it was the most useful.
That's correct. And because I had listened to the podcast and I'm just like, ketchup is bad. It's too salty. It doesn't go with many things. And then she said olive oil and I was like, et voila.
I see you.
Maybe like a Mediterranean herb olive oil.
Okay. But even then,
I don't know.
I mean, just plain olive oil.
Olive oil.
Good quality olive oil on its own.
Yeah.
You could just do anything with that.
Flavor, put it in some boiling water so your pasta doesn't stick together.
Dip some bread in it.
Yes.
Right in your belly button.
Put it on some potatoes and bake them.
Yes. You're set.
All the carbs. So I'm now seeing that olive oil is directly related to carbohydrates. All 3 examples that I have used have been in
carbs.
Pure
It's okay.
Carb ways.
That's what we had for dinner.
It is what we had for dinner.
I get it. It was like in our brains by this point. It's absorbed into our bloodstreams.
They're just floating around in there. Be obsessed with me.
Megan, thank you so much for doing this with me.
Yeah, thanks for driving all the way here.
It was great.
Good.
I mean, I was spoiled. Megan had a Galentine's Day present waiting for me, you guys. I felt like the worst kind of Galentine because I showed up just like, here's this person that is me. That's what you get. Happy Galentine's.
Hi, can I put this in? Is it okay if I hug you? Okay.
Yep. That was me. Here's me in person. That's all I got for you this week.
Good.
That's all I can handle.
It's all I need.
At HB's, if you want to meet up with me in person, all you gotta do is ask. I might drive to you. It just depends. Who knows?
All you gotta do is be in the land of French doors and boastful floors.
Yes, that's it. You gotta come to Naperville. Here's the thing. Here's the step process. You gotta come to Naperville. You gotta let me know you're coming to Naperville, and you must provide me at least 3 books and 2 kinds of candy and endless wine. And then I will come to you. Just kidding. But that's how much Megan gave to me. Anyway, keep being a badass and love yourself as much as you love heaving bosoms.
Hooray!
Yay!
Hey, you. Yes, listener, you. Are you loving the show? If so, please leave a rating and review in your podcast app. The 90 seconds you take to say something nice not only helps new people find the show, but it makes me super smile over at HBHQ. Also, I've had a few people ask, and the answer is yes. We are still doing the 5-star bribe. If you leave us a review with 5 stars, then we'll do whatever book you want. We're real deep into the list, though, so it might be a while. Lilas! Okay, back to the show.